He forgot to end the call. I heard what he really thinks about me, and I canceled the wedding the next day. Okay, so it started like any regular night. I was curled up in bed in my softest hoodie, some mindless baking show on in the background, phone in hand, because, obviously, wedding stuff never ends. I was scrolling Pinterest for table centerpiece ideas and texting my best friend about how much I hated our florist's font choices. He was in the living room on FaceTime with his mom. Totally normal. He does that a few times a week and I usually tune it out. They're not mean, per se. Just kinda uptight. The kind of family that always says bless her heart when they're actually insulting you. Anyway, he wraps up the call with, "All right, love you," and walks into the kitchen. I assumed that was the end of it. He didn't hang up the call. I saw the little FaceTime window still open on the iPad, sitting on the coffee table, and maybe I should have turned it off. Maybe I should have minded my own business, but I didn't, and now I can't unhear what came next. His mom? Her voice went sharp like flipping a switch. "So, you're really gonna go through with it?" I froze. My heart actually stopped. I sat straight up like I'd just been slapped. He laughed. Not even a real laugh. One of those awkward, nervous ones. Yeah, I mean, she's sweet. You know that." "Sweet? Sweet? That's what you call your barista or your neighbor's cat. That's not what you say about the woman you're about to marry." Then his dad chimed in. "You don't have to settle, son. You've still got time. You think she's really the best you can do?" My mouth was hanging open. I was literally holding my phone like it was a grenade. I wanted him to say something. I needed him to say something. He didn't. No defending me. No, she's everything to me. No, I love her. Just silence. Then, "It's complicated. Everything's already paid for. Everything's already paid for, like I was a damn receipt." I felt like someone dropped cold water down my spine. My cheeks burned. My chest tightened. I wasn't even crying. I was boiling. I couldn't stop listening. I know I should have ended the call, but it was like watching a car crash in slow motion, with me in the passenger seat and nobody even noticing. "His mom?" She went in. "You've always wanted more than this. You used to talk about ambition and spark. She's safe." "She's not passion. Safe." That word echoed. Over and over, I felt like a punch straight to my gut. Like I'd somehow been demoted from fiancé to fallback. And then, like it wasn't enough already, his sister's voice popped in. "I just don't want you to be stuck. She's nice, but she doesn't light up a room, you know?" I wanted to throw the iPad. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I just stared at the screen, at his face, his calm, unbothered face, while he let them drag me. Not once did he say stop. Not once did he say, "That's not true," or "I love her." I locked the screen. And I sat there, still, silent. My heart didn't break, it shifted, like a door creaking open to a part of me I'd been ignoring, the part that knows when something's wrong. And this was so wrong. I had spent months planning this wedding, picturing our life together, and I was building something solid. Turns out he wasn't building a life with me. He was building a stage, a performance. And I was just the safe co-star. But I'm not safe. I'm not small. And I sure as hell am not going to marry a man who lets his family tear me apart while he sips coffee and stays quiet. He came back into the bedroom like nothing had happened. Literally humming. He had no idea the iPad was still on. No clue that I'd heard his entire little heart-to-heart about how I was sweet, safe, and just too deep into the wedding planning to back out now. I was sitting on the bed, very still, like a calm before a nuclear detonation. He grabbed the iPad and saw his shocked face. Then he told me, smiling, "Hey babe, you are still here. Want some tea?" I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "So everything's already paid for, huh?" He froze. That smile? Gone. His whole face changed. Panic, confusion, like someone caught mid-lie and scrambling for a script. "What? What are you talking about?" "The iPad," I said. "You never ended the call." Boom. His eyes widened, mouth open, but nothing came out. I stood up, my voice sharp and shaking at the same time. "I heard everything. Your mom, your dad, your sister, you. You let them talk about me like I was a participation trophy." "Wait, hold on, that's not fair." "Fair?" I cut him off. "You didn't say a damn thing. You sat there and let them trash me like I was some random girl you pity dated and felt too awkward to dump." "I was trying to keep the peace," he mumbled. I laughed, but it sounded more like a bark. You were keeping the peace by sitting there mute while your mom called me a safe bet and your sister said I don't light up a room? He ran a hand through his hair. Look, it's just family talk. They're blunt. You know how they are. I shook my head. No, I know how you are, and that's the real problem. He tried walking toward me, voice softening. Come on, don't throw this away. We've come so far. Everything's planned, the venue, the vendors, the guests. I don't give a damn about the vendors, I yelled. You're telling me this marriage is built on sunk costs? That you were just going to smile at me at the altar while secretly wondering if you could have done better? He didn't answer. That silence? That was the answer. And just like that, it clicked. This wasn't about the dress or the seating chart or the deposit we wouldn't get back. It was about me. And the fact that I almost married someone who thought love was a logistical problem. I walked to the closet, grabbed my overnight bag, and started packing, calm, efficient, dead inside. Wait, he said, voice cracking. You're seriously leaving? I turned to him, holding his ring out in my palm. You don't get to keep me quiet like you did on that call. You don't get to keep me safe and small and sweet just because it makes them more comfortable. I'd rather be alone than spend my life proving I'm worthy to people who already made up their minds. He didn't try to stop me, and I didn't look back. I wasn't even out of his building 24 hours before the storm hit. It started with his sister, Emma. She texted me something that looked like it was meant to sound kind, but came off like an insult wrapped in passive-aggressive tissue paper. I heard you left. It's really sad. You always seemed so grateful. We tried to accept you. Tried? Girl, you acted like I was lucky to even breathe the same air as your family. I didn't respond. Next was the mom, of course. She called me, and I swear her tone was like a sugar packet laced with cyanide. Oh, honey, she started, fake sympathy dripping. I know wedding planning can be stressful, but calling it off over one harmless conversation? I almost dropped the phone. One harmless. I stopped myself, took a breath. No, I said, calm but cold. It wasn't harmless. It was you sitting there tearing me apart while your son nodded along like a coward. She laughed. Oh, don't be dramatic. Families talk. We're protective. You're not used to our kind of honesty. You weren't being honest, I said. You were being cruel. Then came the part I'll never forget. You should have known this family was a package deal. You were marrying into us. No, I said. I was going to marry him. You were never the prize I wanted. Click. I hung up. 10 minutes later, I got a text from her. You just proved what we all suspected. You were never good enough for him anyway. Nope, and that was it. The gloves were off. What they didn't expect? I had receipts. Literal receipts. Voice memos, screenshots, notes I'd taken every time they'd thrown subtle jabs at me over the years. When I didn't have a degree fast enough, when I wasn't polished enough for their country club brunches, when they said I was cute, but not the kind of woman that turns heads. I posted one single story to my private Instagram that night. Just a black screen with text. Be careful who you let shrink you. Some people call it love when what they really want is control. It blew up. People I hadn't talked to in years messaged me. Former coworkers, classmates, even one of his cousins I barely knew replied, I always knew you deserved better. The way they treated you at the engagement party? Disgusting. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who'd noticed the cracks. That weekend, my ex showed up at my apartment. Yes, showed up. No text, no call. Just knocked like he hadn't just watched me walk away from our wedding, like it was a burning building. I opened the door. He looked awful, pale, eyes red, like someone who hadn't slept in days. Can we talk? He asked. I didn't move. He looked past me like he expected his old life to be sitting inside my apartment waiting for him. Your mom said I wasn't enough for you, I said. You never corrected her, so why are you here now? I miss you. Or you miss the version of me that kept quiet while your family treated me like dirt. He didn't answer. I started to close the door, then stopped. You know what the real problem was? I said, you weren't marrying me. You were marrying their approval. Click. The door shut. For good this time. It had been 2 months since I slammed the door in his face. 2 months of quiet mornings, iced coffee, and no one nitpicking my hair or suggesting I smile more at family dinners. No wedding emails, no passive-aggressive brunches, just breathing. I was finally sleeping through the night again. Therapy twice a week, Writing again. I even booked a solo trip to Barcelona with the money that was supposed to go to catering. It was starting to feel like freedom. Until I got a letter. Not an email, not a DM, an actual handwritten letter, on thick monogrammed stationery like it came from a Jane Austen movie. From his mom. I almost threw it out, but curiosity wins. Inside? A weirdly polite, vaguely threatening mess of a letter. We understand tensions were high and things were said. However, we believe in resolving family matters discreetly. Certain conversations were recorded. For your sake and ours, we hope you'll choose not to make this uglier than it already is. I read it 3 times. Recorded? What? My heart dropped. I had never recorded anything. But it hit me like a slap. They had. And I knew exactly when. The engagement dinner. The one where his mom had pulled me aside and said with a tight smile, "You clean up nicely. I wouldn't have guessed you were raised the way you were." I had walked away stunned, shaken. She must have been recording me, trying to bait me, looking for ammo. Why? Because they knew their son wasn't enough. So they tried to get dirt on me, just in case it all went south and they needed to twist the narrative. And it got worse. Because a few days later, my best friend Ella called, voice shaking, "Babe, you need to sit down." She'd run into one of his old coworkers, someone who wasn't a fan of the family and apparently had no loyalty left. Turns out, the entire engagement had been strategic. They'd pushed for it, pressured him into proposing, not because he was ready, but because they wanted a marriage before the fiscal year ended. Why? Tax incentives. Apparently, their family business had shady bookkeeping, and a legally binding marriage and another person's clean credit history helped them look more stable during an audit. I was never the choice. I was the shield, the safe, sweet, easy-to-control fiancé they could parade in front of auditors and investors, and I almost went through with it. I sat there, shaking, heart in my throat, rage crawling up my spine. Then I did something bold. I wrote a post. Not for pity, not to name names, just to tell the truth. They didn't love me. They needed me, because my clean credit history made their business look more stable, because my face, my family, my harmlessness made the audits go smoother. I wasn't a fiancé, I was a PR move, and I almost married into a lie. The post went up on a Thursday. By Saturday morning, the internet exploded. People started piecing it together. Someone always knows someone. His mom's charity page got flooded with angry comments. The business's Yelp page got roasted. Tweets, TikToks, even LinkedIn started getting spicy. One viral thread laid it out like a scandal docuseries. Thread, how a perfect engagement turned out to be tax fraud, manipulation, and generational narcissism. I won't lie, I was nervous at first, but not enough to delete it. Because by then, I was already in Barcelona. I'd taken the trip I promised myself. Booked a sweet little Airbnb with a rooftop terrace and lemon trees. Every morning, I sipped coffee. Every night, I drank sangria. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I barely looked. Naomi, my now ride or die, kept me updated in hilarious bullet points. His sister locked her Twitter. LOL. Someone leaked your old engagement invite and now Reddit's on fire. The biz account went from 5 stars to 2.4 in like 6 hours. Apparently a reporter emailed you. Girl. And the cherry on top? The company got flagged for a financial review. All because a few brave exes and ex-employees came out of the woodwork and shared their receipts. Turns out I wasn't the only one they'd used. I was just the last straw. Meanwhile, I was watching a flamenco show, eating paella, and remembering what it felt like to be alive again. Free. No rings, no rules, no fake smiles at family dinners, just me, messy, happy, whole. I posted one pic, me in a red dress, leaning against the balcony rail, the city glowing behind me. Caption? Healing looks good on me. He saw it. I know he did. He didn't comment, didn't DM, but the silence was loud. Let him feel it. Let him sit with the fact that I was gone, and for once, I was the one who disappeared without needing a big speech or an apology that would never be sincere. I gave them everything they wanted, until I didn't. And when I stopped playing their game, they lost the whole board. Barcelona was exactly what I didn't know I needed. I was sleeping again. Not the anxious toss-and-turn kind, but the deep, dreamless kind that feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years. And maybe it was the wine, or the lack of toxicity, but I started to remember who I was before him. I'd forgotten how much I loved dancing without worrying if my dress was too much, how good it felt to laugh until I snorted. How powerful it was to choose silence over a response. I didn't want to be bitter. I wanted to be better. That's when I met him. His name was Luca. I met him on a Thursday, of course, because apparently Thursdays are when my life changes now. I was sitting at this rooftop bar with my book and my Negroni, not trying to be seen, just existing, and he slid into the seat across from me like it was fate. He was tall, effortlessly tanned. The kind of smile that makes you want to spill your whole life story and then ask if he wants dessert. He asked what I was reading. I said Revenge. He laughed and offered to buy me another drink. We talked for hours about books and art and childhood dreams, and then, completely unprovoked, he said, I can tell you just came out of something that wasn't good for your soul. I blinked. How? He shrugged. Your eyes are soft, but your guard's up like a soldier. And I swear I felt my heart tilt. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it wasn't nothing. He didn't ask questions I didn't want to answer. He didn't press. He didn't try to impress me with status or wealth or connections. He just listened. We didn't kiss that night. We hugged, and I went home smiling, until I got back to the apartment and opened my phone. DM from him. Daniel, I saw your post. I get it now. I miss you. I never should have let you walk away. Then a second message. Can we talk? Not as exes, just as people. And then a photo, a screenshot of a plane ticket to Barcelona in his name. My stomach twisted. Was this a gesture? A threat? Some desperate attempt to rewrite what had already been burned down? I didn't respond. Instead, I poured myself another drink, screenshot everything, and blocked his number. Again. And then I called Luca. Still want to grab tapas tomorrow? I asked. He said yes, because I wasn't interested in ghosts who only loved me when I was gone. I was interested in the man who saw my fire and my softness, and stayed anyway. It was raining the morning Daniel landed. Barcelona doesn't rain much in June, but of course it did, because even the weather knew this was about to get messy. I found out not from a message, he was still blocked, but from the doorman of my building, who called up to tell me there was a man with a suitcase asking for Senora Americana. My stomach dropped. I knew it. That ticket wasn't a bluff. He actually came. Luca was supposed to meet me in an hour. I had plans. Peaceful, warm, soft plans. But now my hands were shaking. I took the elevator down, slowly. Every floor was like a countdown to a fight I didn't ask for. And there he was. Daniel, standing in the lobby with that same tailored coat, eyes slightly bloodshot, holding a bouquet of red tulips, my favorite. He remembered. But so what? Hi, he said, like we were old friends. You look different. I am different, I said. What the hell are you doing here? Go fucking back. He looked sheepish. I needed to see you. Everything fell apart after your post. My mom's furious, investors are pulling out, and I need you to know I didn't come here to beg. I folded my arms. Then why did you come? He held out the flowers. Because I still love you. And maybe I didn't know how to show it when we were together, but I cut him off. No. Stop. He blinked. What? You're not in love with me. You're in love with the version of me that kept quiet, that let your family talk down to me, that bent over backwards to prove I was worthy of them. Silence. You're only here because I walked away, and you think a plane ticket and tulips are enough to fix what you broke. He looked stunned. I stepped closer, not angry, just calm, ice cold. Daniel, I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your plot twist. I'm not the woman you circle back to when your life catches fire. His jaw clenched. You're being unfair. No, I'm being final. And then behind me, the elevator dinged. Luca walked out, right on time, dressed casually, holding a tiny umbrella, looking like a walking yes. His eyes locked on Daniel, then me. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. Daniel followed my gaze. Seriously? Him? I smiled. Yes, him. Because he didn't wait until I blew my life up to see my worth. Daniel's face shifted from heartbreak to rage. You're ungrateful. After everything, I laughed. No, I'm just done. I turned, took Luca's hand, and left the tulips sitting on the marble floor of the lobby. That night, I danced in the rain. My phone off, my hair wet, my heart finally light. Daniel flew back the next day. But me? I stayed, because you can't go back to someone who only loves you in hindsight. And I was too busy building a life I didn't need to run from. Paris is colder than Barcelona in December, but somehow it feels warmer. Maybe it's the coffee warming my hands on the walk to work. Maybe it's the snow-lit streets. Or maybe it's Luca living nearby. I live on the 5th floor of a creaky old building. The faucet leaks. The neighbors are loud, but it's mine. I work remotely as a content editor, writing blogs, curating travel guides, dreaming of places I haven't seen. I sleep better now. I laugh more. I don't shrink myself to fit. I've stopped apologizing for taking up space. Luca didn't move in. We didn't rush. Just movie nights, bad takeout, and teasing street performers. He's still here, still kind. Still the only one who looked at my chaos and said, "Cool, where do I sit?" 3 weeks ago in Strasbourg, he handed me a ring, simple gold, tiny opal, no grand gesture. Just, "You don't need a ring, but I'm getting you one. You deserve something shiny." I cried, of course. But I didn't say yes because I needed saving. I said yes because I didn't. Because I could have built a life alone and still chose him. Daniel? Gone. Naomi says his mom tried a rebrand, but people still comment Team Barcelona. Oops, the ring's on my middle finger. Because I earned the right to flip off the past in style. And because for once I wasn't waiting for a love story. I was the story, and it's just beginning. Comment below. Would you have still gone through with the wedding or done what she did? And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.